All right, guys, so this is about building a business. I never had a successful business. My whole principle was like make money. So when I was younger, I tried to open these different businesses, and it occurred to me like, hey, this isn't the best course of action for me, because the overall objective of a business, by definition, is to make money. So what I did is just got a high-paying job. I worked my way up through the ranks, but there's a lot of books and a lot of people that are very instrumental in like my process. And as I've gotten older, now I'm like, okay, now you get a little bit of money, and you're like, well, what's next for my life? And the biggest one will probably, besides like Napoleon Hill, Dale Carnegie, is Warren Buffett and Robert Kiyosaki and Dave Ramsey. And there's other guys out there like Mark Cuban and stuff like that. I get that, but Warren Buffett, Dave Ramsey were the big two. And there's a big difference between poor and rich and wealth and all this other stuff. But a lot of their speeches and the way they talk, it'll leave you speechless. And just by listening to those guys, reading their books, and just trying to better yourself, you'll never be poor again. If you just start reading and just listening to these guys, and it may take a few years for it to click. But once it does, I mean, your life's going to be a lot better. And so when they say like poor and rich, my life got rich, like not financially, just all around, when I started just trying to better myself, and you can't worry about like, there's books called The Gap and the Gain. So you have the gap up here, the things you don't have, but the things you do have down here. When you start like realizing, I do have a lot, I did progress a lot, you're never going to be up here with guys like Warren Buffett. I mean, yeah, you could, but that's like 1 out of 8 billion, so good luck with that. And there's a lot of guys out there saying like 10 steps to this business formula, or these steps you will never fail again. And there's, you'll have other guys on YouTube, like myself, I guess, where they'll give you 10 steps to the business success formulas. They'll say things like the single best thing for businesses to succeed, how to create a company, how to start a business, build a brand, how to start a business from nothing, rags to riches. And you'll hear things like the top 4 business ideas for 2024, or these 5 side hustles will, make you extra money. But there's this thing out there called time. And so that's fixed. But what you do in that time, that's what's really going to be important. So if you focus on career or the business, but something has to give. And I think the number one reason why businesses fail, or these side hustles, is when you have that time and you're not 100% focused on it. And then it's just like you give up. Like Napoleon Hill's The Think and Grow Rich is like, just keep going. And even though you fail forward, and that's the most important thing. So when they say, oh yeah, like I had a few businesses, LLCs, I'm like, oh, this is the greatest thing ever. And then all of a sudden it didn't go anywhere. It's like, I wouldn't say my passion wasn't in it, but it was just like, I never understood the difference between, the worker and the business. And there's people out there that say these businesses are, recession proof. They'll never fail. These are guaranteed. The only thing I can guarantee you is like, they will, okay? It's like laws and regulations. 2008, that wrecked everyone. 2020, Merry Christmas to that one. So you can start and you can write this business plan. You can, and a business plan is different than a strategy, and you can like war game this all day long. But I can tell you one thing right now, no plan survives first contact. Like even as like Wild and Thunder, when I have this idea like, oh, this is what I'm going to do. Everyone's going to buy bundles, and then someone says, I'm not buying a bundle. I'm like, well, why? It's a good friend of mine. He's like, well, I'm bald. I'm like, well, I never even thought of that. So I mean, maybe some of you guys thought of that, but I sure as heck didn't. So when you can strategize, you can plan, but no plan survives first contact. And what you really have to focus on, in my opinion, is selling shit, okay? That's something I struggle doing. Like, hey, buy my soap, buy my shampoo, buy these socks, buy those. So some people will talk about business strategies, leader success stuff, and you got to outwork everyone. But the brutal advice is, none of that matters. You know what does matter? Waking up at 4 a.m. and loving coming into work, or loving the job you're doing. Because let me tell you something, if it's work or if it's business, it's going to be a crap show. So unless you like plan to wake up at 4 a.m. and just enjoy going to work, you don't have to be like, oh yeah, I can't wait to do this, It's like, but you're working with people, some of them you didn't select and some you did select, and you're stuck with them. So you see a lot of these people, again, like on online and everything, saying like they're like maybe in their 20s or something, and they're getting rich, and You know, a lot of people, you just get rich being a bookkeeper because, I mean, it's just this constant grind. Like, I had these LLCs, and I'm like, you know, the whole point of a business is to make money. And so I started making more money at my 9-to-5, my W-2s. And then all of a sudden, you're at this compounding effect of, like, you know, you have 100 grand in the bank, you know, 5% interest. And let me tell you something, 5% interest is good. But then all of a sudden, now your money starts working for you. Now you pay off a lot of your debt. The housing prices went up. Your income goes up because of inflation. That's what people are trying to do nowadays. This is going to be inflation bonanza. People are going to inflate their way out of this debt. So for some people, if you want to be rich, don't start a business. But no matter what you do, you got to leave like the audience speechless, to where it's like, hey, you know, Ken's part of this team. Ken's doing this, and they know it's going to be good. Like, once your name's tied to it, it's a good name, it's a good product, and that's part of like building the brand and the image. You know, like, you know, Wild and Thunder. Oh, I know Wild and Thunder stuff's legit. You know, I could buy toothpicks from them, and they're going to work. I don't know how you can mess up toothpicks, but you get the idea. You know, and the big thing too is like real estate, and I get that it's a hedge against inflation. So why is it a hedge against inflation? If I bought my house in 2019, literally like 5 years ago, for you know, let's say $200,000. Okay, you got a decent house, $200,000. That same house right now, because of all this inflation, is like $450,000, $500,000. So imagine being in 2024, having to buy that same house for $400,000. That's bonkers. Okay. That $200,000, how long does it take you to save $200,000? And then now the interest rates are high because those home prices aren't coming down. Especially if you live in a desirable area, it's not going down. So I don't know what people are going to do, to be honest with you. But in 2001, when I bought my first property, they were okay prices, kind of like 2019. And then we went into 2008. Well, you know, I sold a lot of my properties in 2006, 2007, just because I got tired of being a landlord. And then what happened? 2008, like, I literally didn't have a primary residence. I just started living out of my suitcase, traveling to different jobs across America, and everything tanked. And it tanked hard, and it was a reality check for a lot of people, including myself, because I still had rentals. And it took me clear to 2015 to actually sell those rentals that I bought like in 05, 06, to just pretty much, you know, break even price on them. I mean, I made a little bit, but it wasn't even worth mentioning because it was just almost 10 years of just nothingness. So guys, I mean, I really wouldn't be too discouraged about the cost of real estate, but you gotta just see the reality. If you can't afford it, you can't afford it. Because, I mean, homes are the biggest drag on a person, especially if you're a single person, you want to buy a house. It's like, not only do you buy the house, you got to pay for it, well, you got to furnish it. Then you got to do the yard upkeep and all this stuff, HOA fees. And then if the laws and regs change, then insurance, you know, insurances right now, I mean, it's ridiculous what it's happening to the insurance industry and some property. Anyway, guys, I'm on a huge rant right now. But the point being of this whole video is it's hard, okay? It is hard to do this type of work. I mean, people are like, why are you selling soap, shampoo, and deodorant? Socks, you know, why are you selling this stuff? Why don't you sell this other stuff, you know? Well, it's like, you know what? My whole idea of this company, Wild and Thunder, was like a premium consumer staple company. It may be something different. Like I told people before, this thing could be a defense contractor by the time it's done. I don't know really what it's going to be, but I'm learning so much on the e-commerce side. There's like the social media, this YouTube, setting up these lights. Guys, if you like the lights and everything, let me know. Because this has been a real struggle for me, a learning curve. I got this glow thing behind me, if you can see that thing, because trying to set up the lighting to where it's like at least watchable, man, that was a struggle. It was like a half a day or something, even longer. Then even this one here, I'm going to watch it on YouTube and be like, oh, this thing looks like crap, you know? And the whole point of what I'm trying to do is just make everything easy and explain to people like, hey, this is what I'm doing in my e-commerce business. And it may go like, they call it like catching lightning in a bottle for some people where it just blows up. But man, let me tell you what, there is a lot of learning to go on to this. And if I knew then what I know now, I would have did things a lot differently. But hey, you know, we're in it now. I have a pretty good foundation of everything. The biggest thing I struggle with is selling, the promotions. Some of my buddies, you look at their Instagram, you're like, man, you're so good at Instagram. And it's like, I feel like I'm a clunky, boomer or something or whatever. And then they say, I don't even like doing this. I don't even like making those clips on Instagram. I wish I didn't have to do that. And then it's like, oh, okay. So it's like, it's not just me, but it's just something you got to do. You got to put your name out there. You got to make videos and stuff like that. So, and hopefully people will listen to you. But guys, if you take anything from this rant, if you're watching this long, just don't give up. Just you got to please keep plowing forward, failing forward. And then all of a sudden, you start having a business and people will say like, man, what's the valuation of this business? And you're like, dude, I don't know. I don't care. Like, I have a good life. I can do what I want. I can pretty much buy what I want. I'm hassle-free. I can provide for my family. I mean, I don't need a yacht. I mean, me personally, I don't need any of this stuff. It's just stuff, If it all went away, like this house I bought. I bought in 19, and I wanted to remodel. I want to remodel a house. Something I always want to do. My first passion was in real estate. And so I bought this house and I remodeled it with my hands. It wasn't the smartest thing to do economically. Well, yeah, the house appreciated, almost tripled, okay, because of the stuff I put in it and plus this inflation that's going on. But it was just a satisfaction, like, I'm building this flagstone patio now. I'm the one building it. Yeah, I can just give someone money and they can do it, but what fun is that? When you have the finished product, when you sit down in your living room and you're watching a movie with your family and, or you have friends come over for drinks, and like, yeah, I designed this, I built all this, and some things are great, some things aren't, but it doesn't matter because you did that. So if you stuck with me this long, so what's going on with Wild and Thunder is we had Amazon Prime. I sold 3 products. Okay, I sold 3 products. So whoever bought the products, maybe it's my mom, I don't know. I really appreciate it. I marked them down steeply. I didn't advertise for it. I really don't know how to do that part. I got to work on the A+ content for sure. But now I'm at a stage to where okay, now I can see all my finances. I can see what's going on, and I can reduce the cost of the my products. And the reason why I had them elevated before is because I just did what are these like Dr. Squash? What are these Duke Canyon? What are they selling their products for? And then you go to was it Huckberry or Huckleberry or whatever the website is? They're selling a bar soap for $25. And you're like, you know what? I'm gonna jack my prices up and I'm gonna put them out there and I'm gonna see what happens. Yeah, and some people bought, some people have great reviews. But at the end of the day, it's like, I need to move this inventory because I bought a lot. Okay, so the next step is don't buy a lot of inventory. These socks right now, these are my the outdoor socks, and I'm also gonna have an athletic sock. I'm doing things a little bit different to where it's pre-order, and once I get a good order quantity, hopefully in September, I can ship them out that way. I don't mind holding inventory because it's only maybe 50 or 100 pairs of socks starting out. Where inventory you get into the weeds is when you're handling like 1 million, hell, even $50,000 in material. If you got to push that through, that's a lot. That's a lot. So then you got to keep that going, the wheel going, the finances, and you got to pay for this. Go, put it on a credit card here. Oh, now you got 30 days. And then all of a sudden you're doing that, putting everything on a credit card, and then all of a sudden this company that you're working with, they say, hey man, we're no longer doing credit cards. You got to do a wire. So it's things could get really slippy really fast. So it's a struggle, but don't give up, fail forward. So going forward on Amazon, I was selling individual products. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start packaging them up into 2 products. That was the original plan. And then I just wanted to, have people buy and sell through things to where I found out to where if I package it up, I can actually reduce my prices and still make the same profit because Amazon takes a good chunk of money out. The other thing that struggles with Amazon is your prices on your website needs to match their website. So that's a struggle. I don't want to get into the discount wars of here's 25% off, which if you do go to the Shopify, wildandthunder.com, WT25 will give you 25% off. Just throwing that one out there. But pretty soon those are going to go away because I don't want to get into the discount war. Maybe give me your email address and you're going to get 30 is pretty good. Maybe 20 or 25% off your email or 10% because I just don't want to bother with this discount wars. There's a lot of apps out there that can comb through the everything and figure out the apps, and figure out the apps, figure out the discounts for your store. And then all of a sudden you gave this discount out and you didn't even get an email, you didn't get anything. And I'm just going to say, hey, you know what? The price is the price. And a lot of times people, like I do this myself, like, hell, I'll create another email address just so I can get 10 or 15% off a product, and then I'll never use that email address again. So, I mean, there's ways people, I guess go around the system. But the thing I'm trying to do is, again, your time. It's fixed. Guys, it's fixed. So whatever you do inside that time block, that's what's really going to be important.